You know those moments in life when everything you thought you knew gets tossed out the window, wrapped in a glitter bomb, and then explodes right in your face? Yeah, that was my past year. I'm Jon Smith, and until recently, my life was, well, a lie. A fictional lie, to be precise. I'd woken up one day to find myself living inside a romance novel, not as the dashing hero or even the villain, but as a footnote, a literal background character, tethered by a contract marriage to a woman who was supposed to be the tragic, lovesick sidekick. Her name is Willow Hayes. And let me tell you, when the destined, money-giving sister of this saccharine saga decided she was done being used and started to, believe it or not, fall for me, the guy she only married to keep her crush from getting suspicious, that's when things got truly, hilariously, and beautifully off script. It all started a few months ago. Willow, my contract wife, began acting strange, like she just realized she was an extra in her own life, a forgotten plot device. She became this wild card, a force of nature I hadn't seen before. One minute, she was the picture of detached elegance. The next, she was a fire-breathing dragon. It was disorienting, to say the least. Ethan, the supposed warm and caring male lead of this absurd novel, came begging her for something. He looked like a puppy left out in the rain. Willow, however, just shrugged, a dismissive flick of her wrist. "Consider me dead," she said, her voice flat. "Everyone dies eventually, right?" And then when Sarah, the perpetually rebellious female lead, tried to confront her, Willow just waved her off with a flick of her wrist. "Too much air conditioning makes you sick," she drawled, "and worrying about other people's business makes you broke." It was brutal, honest, and utterly captivating. But the real shocker? Her stance on divorcing me. It was absolute, unwavering. She looked me dead in the eye, that usually cold gaze now burning with defiance. "I've changed my mind," she declared. "This marriage, I'm not going anywhere." My divorce papers, clutched in my hand, suddenly felt like a joke. Just moments later, Ethan came knocking again, looking for money. I swear that guy was a walking ATM for Willow. I heard her voice, sharp and irritated, from behind the closed study door. "Need money, do we? Again? What, you don't have a family of your own?" Ethan's voice was almost a whimper. "This time it's different, Willow. Sarah got into a fight, hurt someone. They're threatening to throw her in jail if we don't pay up." Willow's response was immediate, cutting him off mid-sentence. "Throw her in a crematorium for all I care. It's got nothing to do with me." And then the kicker. "You want to borrow? Fine. First, pay back the over $200,000 you owe me." The silence that followed was deafening. Ethan's voice, when it came, was laced with disbelief. "You're rich, Willow, and you're asking for 200 grand back?" "Oh, so your skin's gotten thicker, has it?" she retorted. "I could probably slap you twice and you wouldn't even flinch, huh?" Then a loud slam of a door. Willow emerged, a chilling smirk on her face. "Trying to scam my money is one thing, but my feelings? Please, how naive." She turned and her eyes met mine. The ferocious Tibetan mastiff-like woman from a second ago instantly transformed into a goofy, husky-like dog, all big, innocent eyes and a silly grin. "Honey," she chirped, her voice sickeningly sweet, "I just single-handedly protected our joint assets. Aren't I amazing?" I was still holding those damn divorce papers. The words I'd rehearsed, the arguments I'd prepared, they all just evaporated. It took me a long moment to manage a single word. "Amazing," I croaked. That's right, amazing. Because in that moment, I realized something truly incredible was happening, something far more interesting than any pre-written storyline. You see, I transmigrated into this novel a month earlier, finding myself in the body of Jon Smith, Willow Hayes' contract husband. In the original story, Willow was the ultimate love-struck fool, known as the Money Fairy. This novel was a classic happily ever after romance for Ethan and Sarah. Ethan, the warm and considerate male lead, and Sarah, the rebellious, troublemaking female lead. Sarah smoked, fought, caused endless chaos, and Ethan was always there, sacrificing everything, patiently helping her transform into this powerful female CEO. And Willow? She was the brilliant, wealthy heiress who, in the author's twisted mind, was just a blind, lovesick idiot. Whenever Sarah caused trouble, Ethan would come to Willow, cash in hand. Willow would pay, Ethan would get the credit for being the hero, and her unrequited love for him, spanning years, would remain just that. And it got worse. When Sarah finally started her powerful CEO arc, her startup capital, begged from Willow by Ethan, of course. After Sarah's success, she'd turn around and resent Willow for interfering, even hating her. The story ended with Sarah taking over Willow's company, Willow going bankrupt and quietly disappearing. Ethan and Sarah, they lived happily ever after, even popping out a kid together. As for me, Jon Smith, I was just Willow's contract husband. Ethan, after finally realizing Willow's feelings for him, would apologize, say he only saw her as a sister, and then conveniently keep his distance. Our lovesick sidekick, desperate to remove all suspicion and still be close to Ethan, found me, a contract husband. After our fake marriage, Ethan, of course, believed Willow had moved on and promptly resumed contact with her. When I woke up in this body, our contract was almost up. According to the original plot, I'd take the money and leave. The rest of the story had nothing to do with me. I was just a minor character, appearing in a mere 3 chapters of a 1,000,000-word epic. But here's the twist. The moment I was about to sign those divorce papers, Willow suddenly woke up. She seemed to understand she was just a pathetic side character. And then she started letting go, refusing to lend money, and, most importantly, refusing to divorce me. This aloof, wealthy young woman who previously seemed to self-sabotage started using rough language. That night, as I was getting ready for bed, my bedroom door burst open. Willow stood there, clutching a small pillow, looking utterly pathetic. "Honey," she whined, "I can't sleep." Willow and I had always slept in separate rooms. I had no idea what her game was. I tried to sound casual. "Can't sleep? Maybe go for a couple of laps outside." Without a moment's hesitation, she shot back. "But I don't want to run laps outside. I want to run 2 laps in your heart." That one took me completely by surprise. Willow, oblivious to my dumbfounded expression, clambered onto my bed with her pillow. I was flabbergasted. "You're not actually going to sleep here, are you?" She blinked innocently. "You're not going to kick me out, are you?" Well, shouldn't I? We were supposed to be fake spouses. But then she whipped out a red marriage certificate from her pajamas, waving it in front of my face. "Who says it's fake? I'm your legal wife." Then she promptly laid down beside me, closing her eyes tightly. Done. I'm asleep. As I lay there, utterly perplexed, wondering what had caused this drastic shift in Willow's personality, I suddenly remembered that morning when she'd refused to lend Ethan money. Wait a minute, was Willow refusing to divorce me on purpose because she didn't want to break up? I was a minor character. The original author hadn't wasted much ink on me. Details about my relationship with Willow were sparse. But after transmigrating, I'd synced with the original Jon's memories. The original Jon and Willow were college classmates. He'd secretly loved her, so when she proposed the fake marriage, he'd agreed without hesitation. Back then, the poor guy innocently dreamed of a day when fake would turn real. But for the next year, all he got was her cold shoulder and watching her cater to another man's every whim. Even if Willow seemed to have woken up, who knew if this was just a new ploy to attract Ethan? After all, the minds of romance novelists are notoriously unpredictable. So I figured it was best to divorce as soon as possible and escape all the original characters. Before I could even seriously consider finding an exit strategy, fate, or perhaps the universe's twisted sense of humor, decided to throw Ethan back into my path. I was leaving work, the city hustle winding down around me, when I spotted him. He was slumped on the stoop of my building, looking utterly defeated, cold and pitiable, a real sad sack. He heard my footsteps and, in a low, melancholy voice, called out, "Willow, my little sister, you're home." But then, as he realized it wasn't her, his voice immediately snapped back to its usual condescending tone. "Oh, it's just you?" The speed at which his demeanor changed was genuinely impressive, even for a character in a fiction novel. Honestly, it was on par with Willow's own unpredictable shifts, which was saying something. I scoffed, a genuine smirk playing on my lips. "You're sitting outside my apartment building, and you ask me why it's me?" I paused, enjoying the discomfort on his face. "Look, if you're suffering from some kind of brain fog and can't find your own place, I'd be happy to give you directions or even call you a cab." He stood up, and for some inexplicable reason, there was this smug, almost self-righteous expression on his face. He leaned in, lowering his voice conspiratorially, as if we were actually friends. "Did you say something to Willow, Jon? Is that why she won't lend me money? Willow works hard for her money. What right do you, a freeloader, have to interfere?" Freeloader? Ugh, the sheer audacity. Talk about unprovoked attacks. From the moment I was a kid, no one had ever had the nerve to point a finger in my face and question my integrity like that, especially not some character from a book. "Oh, so you do know Willow? Your little sister actually works hard for her money, and it has nothing to do with you, right?" I shot back, my voice dripping with sarcasm. With Willow not around, I could finally let loose. This was a man who had taken advantage of her good nature, her love, for years, and now he was trying to lecture me about her money. It was infuriating. "I wanted to chew you out yesterday, but you didn't give me the chance. Now you're coming to me?" I stepped closer, my voice dropping, low and menacing. People usually know how to beg when they're asking for money. They usually have some humility. But you just waltz in here with that thick skin and that big mouth, expecting handouts? Do you think your face is worth more than gold, Ethan? You're young, but you refuse to work. All you know is how to scheme and get something for nothing. And Willow, your little sister, always out there adopting more little sisters and little brothers. Does your own mother know about your little charity empire, Ethan? How many times have you put horns on your dad's head with all your sisters? Count them, Ethan. Go on, count. Can't count that high? Well, go back to school, finish your education, then come back and beg. Maybe then you'll at least know how to do it properly. Just as I finished my glorious rant, the elevator doors opened with a soft ding, and there she was, Willow. Ethan's eyes, which had been narrowed in fury at me, suddenly lit up like a Christmas tree. "Willow, my little sister, look at your wonderful husband here," he exclaimed, practically lunging towards her. I turned, my heart sinking as I met her unreadable gaze. How much had she heard? The original Jon was supposed to be a quiet, somewhat awkward guy, not a quick-witted, sharp-tongued brawler. That was one of the reasons Willow had chosen him as her contract husband. He was harmless. After transmigrating, I'd been so careful to maintain that image, terrified Willow would notice something was off. Today, I'd probably ruined everything. But then, A strange sense of calm settled over me. What did it matter? I didn't want to continue living this life anyway. Let whatever happen, happen. But I never expected Willow's first words to be dripping with sarcasm. Not at me, but at Ethan. "You think I'm some kind of judge, Ethan?" she snapped, her voice cold. "I work all day, I'm exhausted, and I come home to this? Do you pay me overtime to mediate your pathetic squabbles?" She then pulled me behind her, her voice dropping to a low, protective growl. "Are you okay? He didn't bully you, did he?" Ethan was the one seeking justice, but I was the one being coddled. Hearing this, Ethan looked even more devastated. "Willow, he insulted me," he wailed. Willow just rolled her eyes. "Insult you? My husband merely spoke the truth, Ethan, at most." Then she pulled out her phone, her fingers flying across the screen. "Someone's trying to extort money right outside my door. My husband is terrified. He's practically in tears. What kind of security do we have that anyone can just waltz in here? Get over here and kick him out." Ethan's face contorted in disbelief. "Willow!" Willow's expression darkened. "I'm a petty person, Ethan. An eye for an eye. If you keep bothering my family, don't blame me for getting really, really unpleasant with you." She made it clear, then and there, that my fight was her fight. That night, I fully expected Willow to grill me about the confrontation with Ethan, or at least be suspicious about my sudden personality shift. But the truth? I was overthinking it. Willow didn't bring it up once. In fact, she became even more enthusiastic in her pursuit of me. The next morning, before I even got to my desk, her messages started flooding in. "Honey, why haven't you messaged me yet? Do I look illiterate to you? Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. There's always more tomorrow. Work can wait until tomorrow. What time do you finish work? I'm coming to pick you up for a date." Can you believe it? A CEO openly ditching work like that? With Willow's current work ethic, I figured she wouldn't need Sarah's help to bankrupt her company. She'd do it all by herself. I put my phone face down on the desk, ignoring her. The original Jon was a reporter for a business magazine. My journalism degree from my real life actually aligned with this career, which was a pleasant surprise. I was just about to open my computer and start writing an article when my editor-in-chief walked in, leading someone new. "Hold on, everyone. This is our new intern." I looked closer. It was Ethan. That's when I remembered. Ethan, with his warm little son persona, was originally a diligent worker. The novel mentioned Willow, not wanting to see him struggle, had pulled some strings to get him into a magazine editorial office. She'd even used her connections to secure him exclusive interviews with major industry figures. Thanks to Willow's backing, Ethan quickly made a name for himself, rising from a junior staffer to the editor-in-chief of a leading magazine. But I hadn't realized Ethan and the original Jon worked in the same place. Thinking about it, Willow was truly out of line. Not only did she arrange for her moonlight to work at the same company as her husband, but she also funneled all her resources to him. Damn it, the more I thought about it, the more I wanted that divorce. Ethan, true to his male lead character, was a natural charmer. He immediately started doing odd jobs for everyone, even treating the entire office to coffee, quickly winning everyone over. I initially wanted to ignore him, but then he came over to my desk, a coffee in his hand. "Jon, I came to apologize to you." His voice wasn't loud, wasn't soft, but just loud enough for the entire office to hear. Someone, curious, asked, "You two know each other?" Before I could open my mouth, Ethan nodded. "Jon's wife is like a little sister to me. We grew up together. She's a good friend. Recently, my friend fell ill, and I wanted to borrow some money from my little sister to help. Jon knew about it and wasn't happy, so we had a bit of an argument. He apologized to me later. That day, I was in a hurry. My friend was waiting for surgery, so He paused for dramatic effect. "Don't worry, Jon. I'll find a way to handle the money myself. I won't bother you or my little sister again." It was a masterclass in gaslighting, a complete reversal of right and wrong. The way my colleagues looked at me immediately changed. Someone chimed in. "Ethan, you just graduated. How much money could you possibly have? Everyone has emergencies sometimes. People are too pragmatic these days. They flock to you when there's a benefit and disappear when you're in trouble. What's your friend's illness? How much do you still need? Let us see if we can help." The original Jon was a mild-mannered guy, often working overtime for colleagues, but no one ever appreciated him. They secretly ridiculed him behind his back. Hearing these snide remarks, I slammed my pen down on the table. His friend is suffering from a public disturbance causing illness, crippling people but without money for compensation. It's a mental illness, really, not much missing, just a few $100,000. I gave my colleagues a cold smile. "Aren't you all living saints? Why aren't you speaking up now? If you want to help him, remember to fill the hole of the $200,000 he swindled from my wife. Otherwise, I'll have to spend money on lawyers to sue him." The entire office immediately fell silent. My phone, still vibrating, was full of messages from Willow. "You can defy fate, defy appearances, but you can't defy the fact that I miss you." Looking at the one-sided conversation, I finally understood what true, massive love was. It's okay if you ignore me. My loneliness alone is enough to make happiness for both of us. I didn't even bother with her overly dramatic, saccharine romantic messages. I just typed directly, "Your good friend Ethan is working at my office now. Anyway, we're in a fake marriage, there's no property dispute involved, and the contract is almost up. When you're free, let's go to the courthouse and finalize the divorce." Almost immediately, Willow replied, "I'm very busy, no time." The very next message, "I'm off work now, coming to pick you up, wait for me." I just messaged her back, "See if these two messages contradict each other." On the way home, Willow was like a guilty puppy, barely daring to breathe. It wasn't until we got home that she finally spoke. "The work thing was really an accident. I'll call your editor-in-chief right now and have him fired." I shrugged. "No need for that trouble. After we divorce, I'll quit anyway." "I'm not divorcing." Willow's voice suddenly rose, startling me. "Why not divorce? The contract said 1 year, but there was an addendum. If you fall in love with the other person, the contract automatically becomes void. You were the one who suggested that clause. Did you forget?" Her words made me remember. The original Jon, still clinging to his illusion of a real marriage, had indeed suggested that addendum. I was about to retort, but then something clicked. "Did you just say you love me?" Hearing this, Willow suddenly became flustered, her ears turning bright red. Haven't I been obvious enough? I tried to recall Willow's previous actions, and indeed, they were incredibly obvious. But the problem was, I couldn't bring myself to believe it was real. What kind of side character doesn't love the male lead and instead falls for a minor character? I paced frantically, 2 full circles. "No, no, no, you shouldn't like me." "Like you? So what? I'm a lovesick fool. I don't need a reason." After she said that, we both fell silent. "You said you're a lovesick fool." I cautiously seized on the loophole in her words. "Do you know something? I'm an NPC in a novel, and you're not the real Jon. What do you want to know?" Okay, so she knew. I had no idea what to say anymore. "How long have you known?" She scratched her head. "Actually, not long. Probably since you arrived." Willow coughed. "Before, I had a fever once. You sat beside me, and I heard you calling me stupid." I recalled that there indeed had been such an incident. It was when I first transmigrated. Willow had braved the rain to take Ethan to the hospital, and as a result, came home with a high fever, unconscious all night. I was afraid she'd die in the house and bring bad luck, so I stayed up all night caring for her. I thought she couldn't hear anything, so I just let all my pent-up frustration out. Who knew she heard everything? So my true self had been exposed long ago. What was the point of all my careful concealment then? Seeing the complicated expression on my face, Willow pursed her lips. Then you made me realize something right there. After that, I couldn't help but pay attention to your every move, and I found that you were completely different from the previous Jon. Gradually, I couldn't help but always want to look at you, until I realized that my lovesick mind seemed to have shifted to you. That can shift? I asked, utterly bewildered. Seeing that I still hadn't said anything, she got a little angry. Anyway, I've said everything I need to say. Forcing me to divorce is impossible. At least, you have to give me a chance to pursue you, right? No ifs, ands, or buts. This is how it's going to be. My ears felt like they were going to fall off. La la la, I can't hear anything. Had Willow turned into an idiot after waking up? Ultimately, I compromised. After all, a beautiful, wealthy girl like Willow, even in my real world, I wouldn't have had the chance to get to know. I'm not stupid enough to stop an excellent person from pursuing me. Honestly, being pursued by a lovesick billionaire was quite an experience. Transportation and luxury cars, breakfast, lunch, afternoon tea, perfumes, necklaces, roses, anything I could think of, she'd bring it to me. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to issue a stop order to prevent my office from turning into a flower shop. My colleagues, on the surface, admired our loving relationship, but behind my back, they'd whisper, "Never seen Jon's wife flaunt it like this before. Showing off their affection every 3 days, something's definitely up when a woman goes out of her way to please a man. I bet his wife did something wrong, and he's just happily oblivious." Because of Willow's special status and the fact that we were originally in a contract marriage, my colleagues only knew I was married and that my wife was quite good, but they had no idea she was a wealthy heiress. The only one who knew Willow's true identity was Ethan, but he wouldn't reveal such a detail that would put him at a disadvantage. Hearing my colleagues gossip, Ethan would often interject. Did Jon's wife never give him anything before? No. At first, we didn't even know he was married. We had to check the information board. So it means after I came, she started showing off her affection like this more often? My colleagues were confused. It seems so. Ethan would smile gently. Thanks, I understand. I stood behind the door, clearly hearing their conversation. Ethan's expression made his smirk. Did he really think Willow was being good to me to provoke him, to attract his attention? Our male lead was indeed that self-confident. That day, during a meeting, the editor-in-chief proposed a new column to enhance the magazine's influence in the industry. The column's content would primarily consist of exclusive interviews with prominent business figures, along with analysis of their market trends. However, most famous entrepreneurs had already been interviewed, and rewriting old content wouldn't offer anything new. And the first issue was critical, determining the column's success or failure. As everyone was discussing whom to interview, Ethan suddenly raised his hand. "Editor-in-chief, how about Willow Hayes?" The editor-in-chief's eyes lit up, but then he shook his head. Willow Hayes is certainly high-profile enough and a rare female entrepreneur, but unfortunately, she's never accepted interviews. It might be impossible to invite her. Ethan glanced at me meaningfully. Even Jon can't get an interview? Everyone looked at me, seemingly wondering why I was being brought up. I smiled. That's right, I don't have that ability. Ethan subtly curled his lips, then said, "Then let me try." "Editor-in-chief, if I can secure an interview with Willow Hayes, can I be officially hired?" Before the editor-in-chief could answer, I chuckled. "If you can get the interview, you get hired. But if you can't, do you pack up your bags and leave?" My colleagues, who had previously badmouthed me, immediately sided with Ethan. "Jon, why are you so harsh? Ethan surely has a plan. Why are you discouraging an intern's enthusiasm?" I twirled my pen, smiling lightly. Just kidding. Why so serious? You guys talk plenty of trash about me behind my back, too. Are you afraid I'll take it seriously? My colleagues' faces darkened, wanting to explain. I just opened my notebook. Whoever can get the interview gets it. Everyone relies on their own abilities. In reality, this interview wasn't just important to Ethan, I was also very invested. If I remembered correctly, the addition of this new column was not only a turning point for the magazine, but also a turning point in the male lead's career. In the original story, Ethan, as an intern, had volunteered for this very task during this meeting. Thanks to his special relationship with Willow, he easily secured her interview. Not only that, Willow even personally edited his draft. Through this article, Ethan became a sensation, not only getting officially hired, but also becoming the head of the column. The magazine, thanks to this column, later became the leading analytical magazine in the business world, even launching its own TV show. Such a good opportunity, I naturally didn't want to miss it. The only difference was, unlike Ethan, Willow wasn't my first choice. Ethan's actions were incredibly swift. The evening after the meeting, Willow received a call from him. At that moment, Willow was holding her small pillow, standing outside my bedroom door, haggling. "We're legally married. Why can't you let me in your room? I'll go to the Women's Rights Association and demand justice." The Women's Rights Association? She was truly something else. Ever since Willow used the excuse of not being able to sleep and spent a night in my bed, she had completely torn up our separate sleeping agreement, unilaterally invading my room. I resisted. "If I remember correctly, you're still in the process of pursuing me. What's the contradiction?" She just shrugged. "Now I'm planning to let this feeling blossom over time. That's also a way of pursuing." Don't think I don't hear your wordplay," I retorted. As we were bickering, Willow's phone rang. Seeing the caller ID, Willow immediately frowned. From her expression, I knew exactly who it was. "Go on, answer it. Your good friend Ethan swore in front of the editor-in-chief today that he'd get an interview with you." "I told you to get him fired earlier, but you wouldn't let me. Now it's a big mess," Willow muttered. Then suddenly reacted. "Interview? What interview?" So I briefly told her what had happened earlier in the day. Willow wasn't happy. "Why did you say you didn't have the ability? I'll have my secretary arrange a time. Tomorrow, come to my company. We'll do this interview." Was that the important part? I hesitated for a moment, then said, "I'm not planning to interview you." Willow silently hugged her pillow and quietly left the room. Willow was angry. The reason was that for this interview, she wasn't my first choice. The person I chose was Mr. Harrison, a true titan in the business world, one of the earliest pioneers in the industry, investing in stocks and promoting real economic development. He was now over 70, and getting an interview with him wouldn't be easy. But whether for work or personal reasons, I wanted to meet this veteran. That night, Willow slept separately from me for the first time in a while. Even though she still drove me to work as usual the next day, she didn't bother me all day. When she picked me up after work, she even deliberately made a face, afraid I wouldn't notice she was unhappy. I chuckled and poked her shoulder. "Didn't you yourself say you don't accept interviews?" "That's not accepting interviews from other people," she pouted. "Are you other people? My wife's first interview is reserved for you, and you don't even want it. Now my heart is so hurt that even a QR code scanner can't read it." What in the world was that supposed to mean? "So, do you have detailed information about Mr. Harrison?" I asked, getting back to business. Resources online are limited. To invite him, I need to be more thoroughly prepared. Willow's eyes widened. "You're not only not interviewing me, but now you want me to help you connect?" I coughed. "Honey, help me out a little." Willow, who had been sulking, immediately calmed down, her face expressionless, looking straight ahead. "Say, honey, one more time." Willow's ears turned red. "He's withdrawn from the business world now. I can only help you inquire about some information." That sentence was enough. A few days later, Willow handed me a thick folder of documents. He lives a very private life. This is all I could find. I felt like I had struck gold. I was about to grab the documents and leave, but Willow pulled me back. "Call me honey again. I have good news for you." I complied. "Honey?" Willow smirked. "Even though the documents aren't complete, your wife has managed to secure a wonderful opportunity for you to have dinner with Mr. Harrison." My heart pounded. "But this occasion is special. I can't bring you along. I can help you deliver the documents. If he's interested, he'll naturally contact you." This was practically opening a back door for me. My heart raced. I couldn't help but hug Willow and give her a quick kiss. Willow's eyes lit up and she playfully poked my chest. "Thank you. That's not enough." The opportunity was set for the end of the week, but even the day before, I couldn't find a convincing reason for Mr. Harrison to grant me an interview. In terms of experience, I had only been in the industry for 3 years. In terms of ability, I had no outstanding achievements. This was a man who had even rejected Time magazine. What made him agree to an interview with a small magazine like ours? Seeing my anxiety, Willow hugged me. "At worst, your wife can give you an interview," she said, trying to lighten the mood. "What do you think? Is a gorgeous woman like me worse than an aging old man?" In terms of stature, yes, she truly wasn't on his level. That night, I pulled out Willow's documents again and meticulously studied them. Suddenly, a name jumped out at me. Mr. Harrison's grandson, George Harrison. The name sounded familiar. I felt like I'd heard it somewhere. Then it hit me. He was the one Sarah, the female lead, had beaten so badly he ended up in the hospital. I remembered this incident vividly from the novel. It was the climax of the first half of the story. Sarah, causing trouble in the streets, got into a fight and injured a young man who tried to intervene. It should have been a simple matter, something Ethan could solve by borrowing money. But no, the opposing party had a powerful background. They didn't want money, they just wanted to put Sarah in jail. Sarah, terrified, fled to Ethan's hometown with his help. Then Ethan begged Willow again. Willow went to great lengths to resolve the issue. But, as always, when the problem was solved, Willow, who had spent money and effort, was never mentioned. Ethan and Sarah, however, saw their relationship blossom. Sarah also turned over a new leaf and started her own business after that incident. Considering the timeline, this must have been right after Sarah assaulted George. That's why Ethan had come to borrow money from Willow last time. They originally thought they could solve it with money. I remembered Ethan hadn't mentioned Sarah recently. He must have hidden her away. So I quickly wrote down an address, taped it to a piece of paper with my interview questions, and instructed Willow to definitely tell Mr. Harrison that the culprit must be brought to justice. What kind of healing romance was this? If bad people only needed love to change, then what was the point of law? They needed to taste the consequences of their actions to understand what justice truly meant. Sure enough, the next day, I received a direct call from Mr. Harrison. "We've caught the person. I had this information locked down. How did you know?" I feigned mystery. If you have the heart, you can investigate anything. That's the perseverance of a journalist. He chuckled. "Wrong. You help me once, I'll help you once. I'm inviting a business magnate for an interview." This news hit the editorial office like a thunderbolt. The editor-in-chief was so happy he couldn't stop smiling. It takes a seasoned reporter like Jon to have this kind of skill, unlike some young people today who try to run before they can walk. Talking big in serious meetings, now they're the laughingstock. Ethan bowed his head, saying nothing. That's right, forget the interview. Willow hadn't even answered his calls from beginning to end. If that wasn't a joke, what was? But I didn't press my advantage. After the meeting, as I was leaving, Ethan blocked me at the door. "Don't get too smug, Jon. Willow didn't accept your interview either, did she? The person she likes has always been me. If I hadn't rejected Willow's confession that year, she would never have married you to avoid suspicion." Hearing this, I paused. So he knew everything. He had always pretended to be naive, happily enjoying Willow's kindness.
I still gave Ethan a thumbs up. You truly are pure and virtuous, living honestly with no regrets. The fact that Mr. Harrison appeared was a miracle, and Ethan shamelessly asked me for quite a few favors related to it.
In the middle of the night, I was drifting off to sleep when my phone rang, jolting me awake. Annoyed, I reached for Willow, who groggily answered the call. Then, a deep, angry male voice echoed in the quiet night, the sound carrying through the phone and making me shiver. "Is this the den? Is Ethan a friend of yours? He's drunk and won't leave. He's sitting here crying and calling your name. We're about to close. Please come pick him up." I could hear Ethan wailing in the background. "Willow, do you really not need me anymore? Do you really not need your big brother Ethan anymore?" It sounded like a theatrical performance. Willow, clearly annoyed, snapped, "If he's lost, call 911. If he's dead, call the morgue. I'm sleeping. Hang up." With that, she quickly hung up and snuggled back into me, continuing to sleep. I poked her. "Are you really not going? He's drunk. What if something happens?" "I have no morals, so don't try to guilt-trip me," Willow scoffed, pulling me closer. "Besides, if he's so drunk he's unconscious, how did he manage to tell someone to call me? I'm just lovesick, not brainless." I gently stroked Willow's hair. Right, you're very smart, just good at giving away money." Sarah was convicted, by the way. Mr. Harrison told me the news. 1 year and 2 months in prison. I couldn't believe this novel had truly crumbled like this. The female lead, who was nothing special besides her fighting skills, was now in jail. No wonder Ethan had been so gloomy these past few days, making mistake after mistake at work. It showed that without Willow as his stepping stone, Ethan was just ordinary. His warm little sun image and his work environment couldn't shine without her. Initially, he enthusiastically interviewed some business figures, but he was still a newcomer with no one to guide him, and his articles didn't make any waves. Conversely, after I interviewed Mr. Harrison, thanks to the unique and insightful content, I gained everyone's attention. With Mr. Harrison's endorsement, inviting future interviews became as easy as pie. Now, if Willow wanted to be interviewed by me, she had to get a number and wait in line. Regarding this, Willow said, "To be interviewed by you, I'll take a number, but to be in your bed, no number needed." This woman was truly bold. A few months later, Ethan quit his job. The day he left, I had an interview at the office. He had already packed his belongings. Seeing me, Ethan gave me a strange smile. "Jon, we'll see about this." He was being all mysterious. When I got to my desk, I noticed my computer mouse had been moved. I thought a colleague had accidentally bumped it and didn't pay it any mind. 2 days later, however, an article titled "Wealthy Heiress Subjected to Marital Abuse, Husband Accused of Being a Gold Digger" exploded online. The article revealed that wealthy heiress Willow Hayes, although currently married, was in a contract marriage with her husband, Jon Smith. The article not only disclosed my personal information in detail, but also claimed that I married Willow solely to profit from this marriage. Furthermore, my recent interviews with prominent business figures were presented as solid proof of my manipulative nature. What made this story truly blow up was a screenshot of a text message at the end of the article. Anyway, we're in a fake marriage, there's no property dispute involved, and the contract is almost up. When you're free, let's go to the courthouse and finalize the divorce. From the position of the message frame, it was clearly a screenshot from my phone. I suddenly remembered Ethan's strange words before he left, and the displaced mouse. He had been snooping on my computer. This incident caused a massive stir. Very quickly, social media exploded. "Drama at the start of the year," people clamored. "My wife marries someone else, and it turns out he's a schemer. Who gets into a contract marriage normally? Willow Hayes was definitely tricked. Look at this guy's interview list, all big-shot executives. How could he have so many connections on his own?"
The chatter grew louder and louder. Very quickly, keywords like Jon Smith's connections, Willow Hayes and Jon Smith, and Willow Hayes' contract marriage all soared to the top of the trending topics. But it didn't stop there. Very soon after, Ethan publicly revealed his identity online, accusing me of suppressing him during his internship. In the video, his face was dark and gloomy. At the time, I didn't know Jon Smith's wife was Willow Hayes. In the meeting, he deliberately told me to interview Willow Hayes, saying if I couldn't get it, I should quit. Normally, his news articles are terrible, but he's really good at spreading gossip now. As fellow working professionals, his words immediately resonated with the public. The comments below were all sympathetic to him. Poor guy, I've also been intentionally given impossible targets by my boss, and when I couldn't achieve them, I was accused of being incompetent. Look at that face. He's definitely the type to ride on someone else's coattails. A freeloader daring to call Jon Smith a gold digger? The journalism industry is so rotten now, I demand the authorities investigate him. The situation escalated rapidly. I was forced to stop work. Willow's company stock was also affected. Willow was so angry she was swearing. I'll find someone to take down the article right now and send a lawyer's letter to Ethan. What kind of trash is this? We are never getting divorced. Do you believe me? Looking at the rapidly increasing comments, I told her, "Don't deal with it yet. Let this situation simmer for a bit. The greater the impact, the more satisfying the boomerang when it flips, right?" A few days later, I went to the company to retrieve the surveillance camera footage. Ethan, as an intern, probably didn't know that our journalism work was quite specialized. There was a lot of information related to trade secrets, so in addition to access cards, there were also surveillance cameras installed. The day he left, his every sneaky move in front of my computer was clearly recorded. Not only that, I also collected all the money transfers from Willow to him, along with a series of his apology messages, desperate pleas, and even his confessions of love to her. Yes, confessions of love. He had told Willow that he regretted his past actions and wanted to accept her pursuit. All of it was captured in screenshots. On the third day, when the story was making headlines everywhere, I organized all the evidence and posted it online, along with the caption, "I will forever reserve the right to sue Mr. Ethan for invasion of privacy, defamation, and unpaid debts." Willow, who had been patiently waiting for days, immediately shared my post. My husband and I have a wonderful relationship. The contract marriage was my promise to my husband and also my guarantee. I wanted to tell him that he has the right to love me and the right to leave freely. Furthermore, my husband is amazing. He graduated from a prestigious university, has a respectable job, is hardworking and ambitious. Even though his family background isn't as affluent as mine, he is still superior to most people online. He not only deserves me, but he deserves anyone. What I didn't expect was Mr. Harrison, who rarely used social media, registered a new account on the same day and shared my post. I don't know the relationship between Jon Smith and Miss Hayes. What made me agree to Jon's interview was his righteous heart. Exposing the truth is the most basic quality of a journalist. In our interactions, I found Jon sharp, with unique insights and his own perspective on future market trends. It was very interesting to converse with him. I'm also glad that young people today are more thoughtful than our generation. Not just Mr. Harrison, many other prominent business figures also publicly shared my post, completely debunking the rumors that I was a gold digger. Public opinion immediately turned. Turns out, the intern was eyeing someone else's wife. How thick-skinned is that? When he couldn't get what he wanted, he tried to ruin their relationship. I'm not asking for anything else, just when is this guy going to pay back the money? Over $200,000. He's a complete deadbeat. Am I the only one heartbroken? My wife is a lovesick fool. I can't accept this. Ethan's reputation was utterly destroyed. The media reported the truth, and after this incident, it was impossible for Ethan to work in journalism again. Of course, Willow's lovesick nature was also publicly confirmed. The day I returned to work, the colleagues who had previously spread rumors about my wife's infidelity all rushed to flatter me. "Oh, Jon, you were so quiet before. We didn't know your wife was Willow Hayes. Willow Hayes is my idol. When I first started out, I only dreamed of interviewing her. I truly admire you." "No need to admire," I said, curling my lips. "My wife isn't as good as you all think. She loves to show off and occasionally tries to butter me up, making me constantly worry that she's done something wrong, so now I can't even be happy anymore." After that, I genuinely sued Ethan. The court ordered him to repay the money he owed me, along with compensation for defamation. From then on, I never saw Ethan again.
2 years later, Willow and I held our wedding. It wasn't a contract, wasn't a script, wasn't a performance for anyone else's benefit. It was real. During the reception, she got a little tipsy and clung to me, rambling. "Remember when you yelled at Ethan? Your words were like a machine gun, so sharp. I just wanted to kiss your mouth and light 3 sticks of incense every day to it." "No need to be so dramatic, honey," I chuckled, kissing her forehead. A few days later, I happened to run into Ethan. He was dragging 3 disheveled children, looking nothing like his former elegant self. The 3 toddlers, all around 1 year old, were screaming at the top of their lungs. The words I'd meant to say caught in my throat. After a moment, a large woman stomped over. "What are you gawking at? You can't even watch the kids properly." Ethan, furious, snapped back. "Sarah, what do you mean by that? When you found out you were having triplets, I wanted to abort. You insisted on keeping them. And now look, besides being in jail, I can't even find a job. The whole family depends on me, and you dare to blame me?" If Ethan hadn't called her name, I would have almost forgotten this was Sarah, the female lead I had never truly met. Looking at her now, she certainly didn't look healed. Hearing Ethan, she started yelling back. "Did I force you to marry me? Did I force you into bed? If you don't like me, just say so. Don't beat around the bush. Before, you'd run to the rich house for money at the slightest provocation. No dignity whatsoever. Now that they've kicked you to the curb, you're taking it out on me." The 2 of them argued louder and louder, the 3 children crying hysterically, passers-by turning to stare. Just then, Willow arrived, carrying a fresh fish. "What are you looking at?" she asked, oblivious to the chaos. "Nothing," I replied, a small smile playing on my lips. Willow didn't pay any attention to the arguing couple. She just took my hand, her touch warm and reassuring. "Tonight, I'm making you steamed fish," she said, her eyes sparkling. "My master finally taught me the secret this time. Today, I'm going to show you what culinary perfection is." I chuckled, leaning down to kiss Willow's cheek. "What's wrong?" she asked, looking at me quizzically. I shook my head. "Nothing. I just feel, now, like this, it's really good." Willow looked at me, a little confused. I smiled, tightening my grip on her hand. "What I mean is, you've truly woken up, and being with me, it's really, really good." And she smiled back, a genuine, radiant smile that could light up any room. Because in a world where stories were pre-written and destinies were set, we had found our own path. We had chosen each other. And that, I realized, was the best kind of story there was. A story that was truly, wonderfully, and unexpectedly ours.